So we're taking a look at developments now in Nigeria's oil and gas industry, but with particular focus on oil exploration and production. I'm being joined on the program by Lucky Ahiu, who is the CEO, Oil Flow Services Nigeria, and Vice President, South-South Chambers of Commerce. So good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining me on the program this morning.
Good morning.
So bring us up to speed about what actually is going on in that sector with regards to the state of Nigeria's oil exploration and production.
Good morning, Harriet. Actually, as we are all aware, in 1956, oil was first discovered in Olobri in commercial quantity. And between 57 to 60, in earnest, production of crude oil started by the Shell Group. But there's been a lot of challenges in the industries, especially before the crude oil price is sliding. We have issues in the Niger Delta that have actually cut production less from 2.2 million barrels a day to about 1.4 million barrels a day. In total, we have about 36 billion barrels reserve. We also have issues around underfunding, where government is not keeping to their own position of cash calls to the IOCs, which that caused a lot of bottlenecks in projects. We have lack of infrastructures. There are not enough infrastructure to push investment in the oil and gas. So that's a very big challenge. There are no JV in gas, so it is very practically difficult for the IOC to make investment in gas. So these are a lot of challenges and the long contracted cycles. You really can see that some contracts can take about 3 years, 36 months. And that's not good for economics in the oil and gas.
You talked about the issues in the Niger Delta. What is it for you would be the best way to resolve those knotty issues, those issues that just don't seem to go away? The federal government has been, talking about dialoguing, and there have actually been attempts made to dialogue, with some of those who are agitating in the Niger Delta. What for you will be the best way to resolve this issue?
For me, it's more a little bit political, but military approach is not the best way. We're losing a lot of reserve, and you can see that the people agitating. I tell you what, Olobri, 1956 oil was discovered in Olobri. If you go there today, there's nothing to show. Most of the deep water operations where you have for land, onshore, shallow waters, and deep water operations, more of the deep water assets are in Bayelsa. Today, you can't even see a 20-foot container for training or something to show for this IOC's head office. They are not there. So there's a lot of agitation, but again, you cannot be destroying your own assets when you want to make peace. And I think that government need to come to the table very quickly so that to resolve this issue, so that the 2017 budget is not tampered. And if they want to go by their indices to say they want to achieve 3 million barrels a day, today we just have 6 drilling rigs at the moment. You need a minimum of 100 drilling rigs at the time, drilling. So for me, it's not going to happen with this space.
But for you, the target is 2.2 million barrels per day for the 2017, in the 2017-2018 medium-term expenditure framework. For you, is that target achievable?
It's not achievable as it is today, because you need a minimum of between 70 to 100 rigs drilling at the time. Today, we have just 6 drilling rigs, and coupled with the issues in the Delta, as it is, you have less 800,000 barrels crude. So we're not making progress. There are no activities as we speak. There's no single project in going on in the oil and gas.
So for companies such as yours, how do you stay in business?
The government would term this recession. For me, in the oil and gas today, is depression, because nothing is really happening. Companies are just trying to re-strategize, cutting costs, trying to see how you can cut back, repositioning for good times. It's tough getting even funds from the bank. They're not, it's a tough times. And it's time for the government to really sit down to have an economic team for the oil and gas to really move this industry forward.
What about declaring a state of emergency in that particular sector? Because if you're not getting any funds, you don't have infrastructure to do your business, then it's nearly a state of comatose.
It's one thing, Harry, to declare state of emergency. It's another thing to have an economic framework that can work your policies. Government today have unstable policies. Today they come up with one policy and the other. Fair enough, the current petroleum minister for states is doing a very good job. You understand what the industry looks like. and the GMD. I do hope that these gentlemen should be able to, they can't do it alone. They need to set up an economic framework with experts in the oil and gas to move the industry forward. And I tell you what, you know, we build the refineries with $7, $9 a barrel. So we didn't do anything with what we have over the past. And this is as a result of decay of poor leadership and corruption. And it's not helping this industry. So, and I think that we really need to push very hard. If you go to the Delta, there's really nothing to show for over 50 years of oil and gas exploration.
And then we're also talking about local content. I know I've had that conversation with you about developing local content. As it is, your company is one of such that actually provides local content in the industry. And has it really made any headway, especially with all the challenges that you're facing and you're dealing with? How has it been like, interfacing with your international counterparts?
There's been a lot of headway after the NOGIC Act of 2010, where the government set up the Nigerian Content Monitoring Board to monitor and to implement local contents and to see how investments have been driven in these areas. The Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, PETAN, has done so much with the current chairman, Bank Anthony, with the team, which Oilflow is part of the PETAN company. So we're doing a lot to really see how we can drive this. And there's been a lot of drive in the last 4 or 5 years in the local content, where you begin to see areas where the multinationals were only playing before, but now the Nigerian companies are really playing in onshore, swamp location, and begin to go gradually into deep waters. And you can even see some of the last divestment they make in the oil and gas. You see the Nigerian companies, Adventures, have done well, like companies like Seplat, Midwestern, and some of these companies, Shorelines, they've done well. So you begin to see the effects of the local content. So it's been a lot, and the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Monitoring Board is actually very aggressive and bullish, doing a lot to ensure that these policies have been upheld to by the IOCs.
Now, Lucky, you've listed a number of issues, with that sector of the economy, especially with regards to oil production and exploration, and you also seem to be very optimistic. So does that optimism spread to the rest of the year, even though it seems as if the knotty issues in the Niger Delta are yet to be resolved?
For me, you see, government must be very, very straight and direct with their policies. That gives investors confidence to come into the market to invest. If you have troubles area in the Delta, nobody wants to put their money there. So that issue must be resolved. Nobody's going to invest money where there are crises. The bottom line is you're going to invest your money because you want profit. So for me, that's key. They must resolve the issue in the Delta. It's just sitting down and what are the issues that it is. And those that can be treated as criminals will be treated as criminals. So
for you, what would be the best way to solve the funding issues? Because you talked about banks not wanting to lend. That is a very a sector. Well, that's one sector that has actually increased their non-performing loans, and so they're a little reluctant to lend.
For me, two approach. There must be an intervention from governments.
Why does it always have to come from the government?
Because, for example, all the IOCs, every contract we do, we pay what we call cabotage fee, and the NCDB 1%. And that fund is supposed to be a development fund to help grow Nigerian companies. And that fund has to be fully utilized. And that's where government must play. So that fund from the NCDMB, the cabotage fund, the NCVV funds, those funds have to be utilized to build Nigerian companies. And I also think that government also need to look at the areas of putting the right investment and policies and resolve security issues.
Lucky, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning and, of course, sharing your perspectives with us about the state of oil production and exploration.
Thank you.
This Morning continues in just a moment. We've got another angle to another story we're tracking for you on the program. Join us again.